Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be putting together Tonic Studios Totally Tomes gift box. I pre-ordered these, I don't know, like a month ago. It's been a very long wait to finally get them in my hands, but they finally arrived this week, and so I couldn't wait to put them together. If you haven't seen these yet, they create these really fun, cute, basically they look like, hardcover, the old kind of leather-bound style books, with the gold gilded edges and all of that. The die set itself, the base one, has 30 dies, and I did also get the add-on for the secret drawer, and that's another 12 dies. And that's pretty cute too, because then it creates, instead of a box where you open the cover to get into the box contents, there's a drawer that you can pull out, and that's really kind of clever as well. So I'm going to probably do a separate video to put one of those together. And this one, I'm going to put together my first box here, and I'll mostly be using just the sort of basic dies in the base set. So there's definitely a lot of decorative pieces you could add to kind of deck out your tome, but I'm going for just a basic set so that I can get an idea for how these look. I do have a mini album that I already assembled to go into this because I'm considering creating Christmas gifts with this set of dies. And so if there's any interest in seeing how to put together the mini album, I can do a separate tutorial, but it's pretty basic. I didn't do anything fancy there. So what I have here are the cover pieces, and the die does cut the glue tab for you, and I die cut that 4 times because I want my covers to be nice and strong and sturdy. This is the decorative piece for the cover, and there's an outline die as well as the verso die that cuts out all that beautiful detailing and pattern. Then I've got the spine piece here, and the spine doesn't attach flat, so that's why I'm giving it a little bit of a curvature just so that the cardstock gets used to being in that shape. And the spine also has its own decorative dies as well, both the outline and a separate verso die to cut that lovely pattern in. Then we've got a sort of a lock and latch system. So that lock piece does have that little hole there, which I guess you could put some ribbon through it and tie it so that it really does stay shut. And that's basically all the pieces for the putting together the outside of the book. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach all of these together with liquid glue, which is my preference because while you could use a strong double-sided adhesive tape like score tape or redline tape, I've never experienced this myself, but I've heard that in some climates that using those types of adhesive can over time, and I don't know how long, but over time it can actually sort of lift. And dry adhesives, they just never completely dry, ironically enough. And so unlike liquid adhesive, which will soak into the paper fibers and will dry and create a permanent strong bond, dry adhesives aren't like that. So so there's always the potential that your project could possibly come apart at some point. And again, I've never experienced that personally, so I don't know for a fact that could happen. And I don't know, how long, because people say over time, but is that, 2 months or is it 20 years, So just to be on the safe side, I just like to use liquid glue. And I happen to use Lanco pH Neutral, which is a bookbinding glue, so it's archival and acid-free and all of that good stuff, and it's a really good price point. It's, I know that a lot of people use things like art glitter glue and Barely Art glue. I think it's, the Lanco pH neutral is more affordable than all of those. And I haven't tried them to know myself how they compare, but I've been happy with, the Lanco pH neutral. Here though, I did use Kalal all-purpose glue, which is a solvent-based glue. So there's no water in this glue, which makes it really great if you ever need to glue thinner papers, because then you won't have any warping at all. But the reason why I'm using it here is because once that glue dries, it dries like rock hard and solid. And so I'm hoping that adds some extra stability and strength to the back cover, because the back cover is actually what the gift box will get attached to. And even though I'm not planning on putting anything heavy in here, I still want it to feel sturdy and not as though, the bottom could fall out. So now attaching the spine pieces, you could just butt up the 2 glue tabs, one from the cover, one from the spine, and give that a really, really good burnish. And the other thing that I've seen people do, and I've done this sometimes myself as well, is to use a double-sided adhesive tape and liquid glue. And one of the benefits of doing that is with the double-sided adhesive tape, you could get it nice and fully edge to edge, and that when you place your liquid glue, you don't have to get quite as close to the edge, so there's no sort of glue seepage. Like you can see here, I'm pressing and there's some glue that's oozing out, and I have to kind of wipe that away. So that's one benefit. The second, and that's particularly useful if you ever use really pretty cardstock, like mirror cardstock, and you just don't want that liquid glue to get on that pretty finish. And the other benefit of using a combination of the 2 types of glue is that you'll get a little bit of a quicker grab with the dry adhesive, but you'll get the permanency of the liquid adhesive. Now I did measure this out, and the width is 4 3/8 and the height is 4 7/8, which I was a little bit surprised when I got this and started to put it together. It's smaller than I thought that it would be. I guess because the photos, they look like books, and I generally think of books as being larger than this. But these 2 pieces here are cut from the same die, and this is what will create our box. And what's really cool is there's a debossing plate that will actually kind of deboss the detailing that makes it look like individual pages. And so what I did is on one of these pieces, I debossed both the panels, and the section you want to deboss is the middle panel there that has the extra little glue tab hanging off of it. You don't need to worry about the outermost panel, because that's going to fold completely inside the box, so you won't really ever see that. So on one of the pieces, I did the deboss detail on both of those sides, but on the second one, I only debossed the shorter side. And the reason for that is because the long side is where our spine will get attached. And so I want my spine to be able to sit nice and flush against this box, as opposed to having to have it adhere to something that has, some texture to it. So you just glue the 2 pieces together at the bottom here, and just make sure everything is lined up. But the score lines, you're not kind of adhering it over the score lines, just butt it up right against the score lines. And I do like to put glue on all of my tabs, because as you let it just sit there and work on one tab at a time, the glue will start to dry, get a little bit tacky, and it'll just grab a little bit faster by the time you get to that tab. So I found that putting glue on all of them and just working my way around tends to speed up the process a little bit and have everything grab a little bit faster. And of course, I'm going to burnish as I go. And now once you've got those side glue tabs on, then you can start to fold over the top flaps. And these serve two functions, as far as I can see, maybe more possibly, but the two obvious ones to me are that you get a nicer finish, and because it covers up your glue tabs, and if you're using, like I am, paper that is single-sided, then it also makes that look a little bit neater. It makes the top of the box a little bit neater because it's got that nice folded edge instead of a cut edge. And then on top of that, it also structurally makes everything a little bit stronger too, because now you have 2 layers of cardstock on all sides. So that's the box complete. And remember, I only have that debossed detail on the 3 outer edges of my book. So the edge that is plain, that's where I'm going to attach my spine. And so what you want to do is line this up so that they've already mitered this glue tab, and so where the more narrow side ends, that's basically where you want to line that up with your box, and then you'll have it perfectly centered. So the first one's a little bit easier to do because everything is still nice and flat and very open. And I found that, attaching the second one was a little bit tougher. I think if I were to do this again, I might wait to put on the decorative panel, because with that decorative panel there, the spine was rather stiff, and it was really hard to get a nice bend in the spine piece in order to get it to adhere down. And I did cut this extra piece here, which is about 1 inch by, I think, just shy of 4 and a half. And the reason why I cut that extra piece is so that I can actually cover up the glue tabs that are on my sitting on my spine, because my box is actually white there. And so I was having a hard time getting this to stick with my liquid adhesive because it wasn't grabbing fast enough. So here's an example of where I'm using a combination of the red line tape so that it grabs, and the liquid adhesive so that I get a nice permanent bond here. And it was kind of tough. I really had to bend it and really just hold it until it stuck. But like I said, if I had it to do over again, I think I would leave the decorative piece off until after I had the spine attached to the 2 covers. So I'm getting my bone folder. I have one that's nice and thin, so it can actually fit between the box and the cover piece. And so I just burnished down those glue tabs. And here's that extra little piece that I just hand cut this so that I can slide it right in there. And it's basically the exact same width and size of the box. And that's just going to cover the glue tabs and make it look nice and neat in there, which is a really, really small detail. I don't think anyone's going to look inside there. And it's really dark because I used black cardstock for my cover and my spine. So when you peer inside there, you can barely see anything anyways. But I do like to kind of finish things off as much as possible. So the last part of this is to actually adhere the lock and latch mechanism. So with this piece, again, all of the score lines are put in place by the die. And so you just fold those 2 circles to meet up, and you have a nice little tab there that's going to fit through the slot that's in the latch. And I'm going to choose a place where it looks kind of like it belongs on this, because I am using the decorative design, and I hate to cover that up, but I wanted to use the latch. So I'm just trying to find a place where it doesn't cover up too much of the design and leave any awkward elements. And once I have that in place, then I can attach my latch to the back. So you've got some options here. You could either attach it inside your back cover and then glue your box down on top of that. But I think I prefer the look of having it wrap around to the back side of the cover. So I'm going to glue my box down first and make sure to burnish that really, really well. And then placing that into the locking mechanism, I'm going to go ahead and wrap that around and get that attached to the outside back cover. So once that's down, you could leave it like that because I think that looks pretty nice too, and it has a nice finish also. But I'm going to actually attach this other additional cover piece right over top of that to sandwich that in. And you could make all of this really, really fancy with pattern paper or decorative specialty papers, but as I mentioned, I'm creating this just as a first run, just to see how it looks fully assembled. And here's the little mini album that I created in advance. And so with the mini album, I actually used the secret drawer add-on, and the mini album measures 3 7/8 wide by 4 1/4 tall. So that's kind of nice. It's, not too tiny. It can fit maybe 3 by 4 size photos. And I'm flipping through it, but it's really, really simple. There's no flips or flaps or pockets or anything. Just really simple pages. And I'm probably going to create maybe some frames to add to the pages so that I can, whoever gets this can just slip their photos in there. But yeah, I wanted to keep it really, really simple because it is a small size album. And here's the die set that I used to create that. So for both the album cover and the pages, I used this outline die, and it has some really, really pretty design detailing, because not only do you have that stitched edge, but in 2 of the corners you have some debossed detail. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a little triangle in the corner, and it's super cute. And then you've got the spine here. I didn't use the outline die for the spine. I just used the Verso die for the design, because to have it fit in here, the width of my spine is only 7/8 of an inch, because I only really have about an inch in terms of the width or the depth of the book. So I wanted this to fit nicely in there. And I did use the latch and lock mechanism that came in the add-on kit, and there's plenty of kind of extra room if I did add any additional dimension to these pages, which I might, just so that it fills up a little bit, but there's definitely room for that to expand a little bit. So that's the little mini album, and with the latch you do have to kind of score it a little bit differently to use the piece that comes in the add-on set, because again, like I said, the width of my mini album is pretty narrow. So that's my tome gift box and the little mini album that it's going to house. So my thought is to make sets like these as Christmas gifts this year. So we'll see whether I end up doing that, and if I do, I'll definitely have a video showing how I put those together, including how I put together the mini album. But next, I do want to give a try at creating the style where you have the drawer. And so I definitely want to make one of those, and so I'll have that tutorial as a separate video as well. So look for that. and when I have that ready, I'll link it to the end of this video as well. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to get a notification for whenever I post new videos to my channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks again, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.